In answer to one of the questions that I keep getting repeatedly asked for, is where can I obtain some parts, preferably reclaimed, for building some of these experiments. Well, this is a perfect start. It's a computer monitor. This one was donated to me, as you can see by the back. It is actually a working monitor, it's just out of focus, and I'll now get on and take the back off so I don't bore you too much. As you can see, we've now got the back off. There's a couple of little important things I like to do before I touch anything in one of these, because believe me, over the years I've had some nice nasty shocks going up my arm, and I tend to avoid them these days. So one way of avoiding them, as you can see, I've got a black grab lead on this metal casing. That metal casing also runs off and is earthed everywhere else, and I've also got one going down to ground. The other end of the black cable you saw, grab, actually goes to my screwdriver. Well, it didn't until I pulled it off. The thing that we're mainly interested in is anything that's behind that. That will give you one heck of a nasty kick. High tension really hurts. So put your screwdriver down behind it. Believe me, this does work. Works every time normally. And just touch the metal prong inside. That's what I do anyway. Now you know it's dead. That's what you're trying to touch inside. When you've done that, also touch that. And also the one in there as well, with your screwdriver. Now if you are trying to copy me, or you are intending to copy what I'm doing, be very careful. I take no responsibility for any injuries that you may incur while you're doing all this. That's the same for all my videos on YouTube or on the forum or anything associated with me. Also do the same things with the capacitors. Large ones, especially in the older sets and the bigger sets, they will have big capacitors in them that will need discharging. Anyway, that's my prattling on. I'll get on with the bits that you're going to require. Right, now we've done all the discharging, we'll now strip all these off and pull the boards out. You can cut the wires as much as you want. The only thing I'm going to say to you not to cut at this stage is, you'll see this black ring in here. Do not touch that, and do not touch that. The rest you can take off, which is what we're going to do now. Right, that's our board out. There will be components on there we can use. The thing we're going to take out now is this coil. Now don't cut that in any way. There is a reason for that, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. That's called the degaussing coil. These are the scan coils. We're not interested in those yet. What we're interested in is the degaussing coils. Now there's our coil. Inside there you'll find some wire. Most of you call it magnetic wire, so we'll leave it at that. And now we'll strip that so you can see what's inside it. Right, there you can see there's 100 turns in that actually, believe it or not. I've just counted them. That's 12 inch, 12 inch, 12 inch, so it's got four sides of 12 inch. That's 400 feet of cable, and I think that's more than enough to build your run coil for a Bedini or Newman based motor. That's all one loop all the way around, just a big loop of wire. As you can see, it's got two ends, a start and a finish. So I'll now get off and wind that onto one bobbin. There's the wire off the degaussing coil, wound onto a standby bobbin. Now we're going to remove this second coil. Now, I don't know if you can actually see that, but that's the smaller ring, and there's 400 strands in there. It's a foot in diameter, so we're talking roughly about 400 as a guesstimate feet of wire. Isn't that peculiar? That's the same as what the one that went round there was, but this wire is much thinner, perfect for your trigger coil. Right, that's the second coil of wire that we took from around the neck of the tube on a bobbin, so we can use it as the trigger coil on our Bedini coil. Now there's the two bobbins of wire that we're going to be using. One is noticeably thicker than the other one, so we're going to use that for the run, as I said earlier, and we're going to use that for the trigger. And this is a bobbin that I made earlier, and we're now going to wind those two on there as a bedini bifilia. As you can see, I've marked the end of both coils that are going to be wound on this single bobbin to make a bifilia coil. Start run coil, start trigger coil. That's just so we can identify them when we come to wire it up. Oh dear, seems like I've deliberately snapped run wire. Done this on purpose just so people can see it's not a problem if you do it. All you need to do is tin the ends like so. Both ends, of course. Sorry, I'm not sure if this is in shot because I'm doing this blind. I've just sat the camera down and set it up. Then what we do is we join both those together, making sure there's no spikes, and as you can see they're now joined. But you can't leave it like that. I'm trying to use simple stuff that you can find lying around the home. I would normally use proper insulation tape for this job, but what you can do is sellotape, make sure it covers the whole of the joint that you've done. This will cause a little bump in your windings. This is not the way I would normally do it. You then manually wind that on. Right, that's our coil now wound together. The reason why it looks a bit different, I've actually knocked that further on so I could get that in the drill, as you've just saw me winding it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put some little tacks in the back of there. I've pre-drilled the holes ready. Now as you can see, display on my camera that I'm using stopped working, so I'm meant to do all this blind from memory how it all worked. So if things are a little bit out of shot, and I'm assuming that'll be the reason for it, because I can't see what I'm filming. But anyway, hopefully that's in shot. As you can see, we've got the trigger coils marked with a T, and that's the start of the trigger coil. Run coil, and the start of the run coil. This is from an old bedini setup that I did. So it's got one magnet there, one magnet there, and one magnet there. This is just after a video recorder, which is another source of spare parts and bits and bobs that you can use. But now we have to mount in our coil that we've just made. Break your cocktail sticking off. Well, barbecue stick I should say. Drill it. I just used an hand drill. I drilled it very slightly smaller, so if that's 5mm, this drill bit is 4.5. That allows for a nice tight fit. I am going to glue that. I'm going to drill the hole in the board in a few seconds, but glue these in and move on. Now as you can see, that's all set up. And then, again, I'm sorry about any camera work, I can't see what I'm actually filming. Now you might also notice that this one is actually offset from the magnet, so the magnets would be there when parallel. There is a reason for that. It's something I've been on about trying, just see if it'll gain me any momentum. Here's one of my set-out boards, which is downloadable from the Teep forum. You can actually download that printable diagram, print it off, it's all to scale. It even tells you the resistor colours that is required, your diode and the direction. So I haven't used symbols, I've used what should be there.